Hello, everyone. I'd like to announce the general availability of the Daml Platform Observability Example. What is this? Well, let me explain it to you. First of all, it's just stepping back. I'm sure you'd agree that monitoring your health is important. You measure your vital signs when you're healthy. You're usually proactive in that you will have an annual check to check for potential issues. And meanwhile, when you're collecting all this data, when you're healthy, you can use that later to diagnose an issue when you aren't that healthy. Well, the same is true for monitoring the health of a Daml solution. On the right, we have a high-level view of what constitutes a Daml solution. And in Daml 2.6 GA, we included the golden signals and key metrics for monitoring. That monitoring is to check the health of your Daml solution. By golden signal metrics, these are metrics that were developed by Google's SREs to monitor microservice applications. Since we have a microservice application, it makes sense to include those. We also have key metrics that are specific to Daml, like the count of the transactions or the participant metered events. You would include infrastructure metrics like thread pool utilization or Java garbage collection time. Now, all in all, there are hundreds of metrics that are gathered. And depending on what you're trying to do, you may want to slice and dice them and customize the data to show it as you want. So we allow you to filter and aggregate metrics using labels. That is what is in Daml 2.6 GA right now. But it can be hard to understand what you need to monitor. And so we've created the Daml Platform Observability Example so that you can learn how to monitor a Daml solution to understand what is important. This observability example uses Prometheus and Grafana, which are the best of breed open source monitoring tools. It's self-contained, so it's very easy for you to explore. And in the next slide, I'll show you there's just a handful of steps you need to follow. It provides request generation scripts to generate successful and error traffic. It includes the containers that are started so that you can generate the metrics. And it has several example dashboards so you can see how to use those metrics in a very effective way. The goal of this is not for you to deploy it in production, but to use it as a reference to develop your own production monitoring system. You can use the Grafana dashboards. Those are production quality, but this is, again, just for you to use an example. And it is open source. So the quick start for this observability example is you just clone the Git repo. You allocate enough resources to run the example containers. You start those containers locally using the Docker Compose file. You open up 3 terminals and you will run a request generation script in each of those terminals to generate some requests. And then you just simply log into the Grafana dashboard and explore. Just a quick tip is you want to set the time range to a small unit and the refresh to be quick to see the results quickly. So let's just take an example peek here. This is what we call the Network Operations Center Health Dashboard. And it's intended to be an at-a-glance view of the health of your system. You can see here we have the transactions that are successful, and we have transactions that are rejected. We see the participant received event rates and the events themselves that the participant has, and we see the ledger metered events of the participant as well. Down here a little further, you can see your gRPC request rate, the return codes, and we see down here we actually have some failed gRPC requests. The latency, how slow the requests or fast the requests are. Similarly for HTTP, you have the input rate, you have the status codes, you have the latency, and then you get into something that helps you to drill down to what's really important. We have the rejected transactions, and you can drill into what those rejected transactions are at a given time. You have the gRPC errors for the top 5 endpoints, and you have the HTTP errors for the top 5 queries. We also have here the health status. Green means it's healthy and active, and some garbage collecting statistics. But if I want to drill down, I can use this. For example, with the gRPC endpoints, we'll just change the time scale, be the last 30 minutes. You see here that I can specify a component of the domain or the participant. We're looking at the domain. Let's change the participant. And I know that I might be having some challenges with one of these services, the user management service, and voila. You see we have the latency of the request. The request has started, the request is finished, but most importantly, there are some errors. You see here that we tried to create a user that already existed, and we have other errors related. These are errors on purpose, just for illustration, and the average request payload size and throughput. Similarly, for the HTTP endpoint, we have similar data, and you can specify the path. I only have 4 HTTP requests that are going here for simplicity. We have a health, which shows you whether it was inactive or active. This is over the last 3 hours. I've only been active roughly for about the last hour. We have JVM metrics, like the garbage collection statistics. We have the number of garbage collections and the timing, the latency associated with the garbage collection. We have the number of in-flight dirty requests. This is important because this is the metric that's used as to prevent the denial of service by having such a high input rate. Here we have the actual input rate, and here we have the maximum input rate. So you'd be able to visually see, I hit the maximum rate, therefore I'm being throttled. You could generate a notification from that as well. And then just going down a little bit more, we have the participant received events. These are the events that relate to transactions or uploading a DAR, creating a user. Again, you have different filters you can apply in terms of the menus. We also have the participant metered events. These would be the events on the ledger. And drilling down a little bit more, we have some executor threads. These would be diagnostics that are helpful to our developers if you want to understand the queuing that's going on in the events. So with that, I just wanted to say we'd like you to have a try at this, enjoy, let us know your feedback, and thank you very much.